This is the universe speaking to you. You are now tuned into the Modern Spiritual Life Coaching Podcast by the certified master life coach and spiritual guide, Coach Chip. Welcome, souls. We now begin this episode of a transformational journey. Unedited, unscripted, and creating something from nothingness. Now, let there be light on Modern Spiritual Life Coaching.
You're listening to the Master Certified Alchemy Coach on the Morning Gratitude Modern Spiritual Podcast.
Aren't you tired of the drama? You use your words like they are knives. I don't need that type of drama and trying to be tough all the dang time. You try to make yourself feel better by taking me down. Once I fell, but now I'm strong. I'm ready for the rematch. Shoot me down, don't you know I get up? Yeah, baby, I will fight. No, there ain't nothing stopping me. I'm bulletproof, I won't fall. I'm bulletproof, go on and shoot me down. I will always get up again. You're looking at me so cold. Get over yourself, are you for real? Why are you looking at me so cold? One's love is now we're enemies. You try to make yourself feel better by taking me down. Once I fell, but now I'm strong. I'm ready for the rematch. Shoot me down, don't you know I get up? Yeah, baby, I will fight. No, there ain't nothing stopping me. I'm bulletproof, I won't fall. I'm bulletproof, go on and shoot me down. I will always get up again. Shoot me down, don't you know I get up? Yeah, baby, I will fight. No, there ain't nothing stopping me. I'm bulletproof, I won't fall. I'm bulletproof, go on and shoot me down. I will always get up again.
It's the Morning Gratitude with me, Alchemy Coach Chip, on episode number 80, live this morning on the Morning Gratitude of the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. And here we go with a very interesting Friday. I woke up this morning, the wife and I, to a beeping sound. We go into the kitchen, and the refrigerator is at a high temperature, which we normally keep our refrigerator at about temperature 36 to 37 degrees and a -2 on the freezer. The freezer's okay, but it was just the refrigerator itself on high, about 60 degrees. We just went shopping for food for the July 4th weekend to have a barbecue for tomorrow, and we wake up to this refrigerator on the blink. So we're going to be looking to buy a brand new refrigerator, but that's what's happened when the old dies off and the new comes in, right? Wow, a lot of things have been going on. So in the meantime, we're going to get into doing a shout-out on Twitter, shout-outs. I only had a couple this morning today. And let me open this up and take a look at it. Let's see here. And we'll put a shout out to Spell Fire. And you can follow her on Twitter at fire_spell. The other one is, I'm not going to even try to say the name, but I'll spell it. It's @ANJALIBHARDWAJ. She's radiating the essential of pure love. And then we got, I'm going to repeat it again, Spell Fire at fire_spell. She's the owner of SpellFireGifts.com. They love costumes, Wiccan, paganism, D&D, comics, and so much more. Check out their stuff on Twitter. And if you like to have your shout out about your business, products, or services, go to our Twitter at Chip_Coach and retweet our promotion that's pinned up on our Twitter, or just add us with intent, following us, and I'll mention it out on the next live show. So now I got my coffee. I'm all getting revved up on this morning, and we're going to be checking out the benefits of drinking celery juice. Now, we've heard about this big hype going around the world, on the globe. Everybody's doing YouTube videos, and I've been doing it as well for over 7 days, and it's been very beneficial and very, very powerful. Now, there's some pros and cons to it, but this doctor that was on YouTube, his name is Dr. Anthony Williams. He put a book out on Amazon, and you can find it on his YouTube channel. Just, I'm going to give him the credit for this. Just YouTube him as on the search as Dr. Anthony Williams, the benefits of celery. I know I marked that down in the show today, but some of the misspelling comes up because we got a key error typing problem here we're going to be fixing, so disregard that and spell it the correct way, not the way we did. And he's going to give us the pros and the cons about drinking celery juice and how potent and powerful it is. And I can vouch on this one that since I've been drinking it, it's been completely the bomb of anything I've ever drank. And I also buy it in the bottle at Costco's and get like 6 bottles for like $12. And if you buy them individually, they're about $4. So they're pretty expensive. Or you can get yourself a whole bunch of celery stalks and some water and throw it in there. But what this doctor says is not to add anything to the celery juice. And it's going to get more interesting, and you'll learn more about the truth about the celery juice. Okay? And let's go to it right here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
The greatest mistake you can make is mixing things in your celery juice. It's critical you don't mix water, ice cubes, lemon, lime, other fruits and vegetables, collagen, apple cider vinegar, charcoal. The greatest mistake you can make is mixing things in your celery juice. It's critical you don't mix water, ice cubes, lemon, lime, other fruits and vegetables, collagen, apple cider vinegar, charcoal, protein powders, or anything in your celery juice. This is how it works. When you add those things in, you dilute the chemical compounds. So when you drink your celery juice, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
I was suffering with really difficult digestive problems like constipation, lots of gas.
I don't know if we're having a technical difficulty or not, but I can't hear it on my side. I guess we're just going to have to put that one on hold and forward on going to the next here in the program, which I'm going to see if I can get that fixed and then get that to play that after that. Technical errors here. Like I said, Friday, nothing's working right. The refrigerator don't want to work, and now the track don't want to play. So it's all part of the getting through the day on this July 4th weekend as well. Well, Tom Hanks, he throws out a message about the coronavirus to the graduates, and that's what he says to the grads about their graduation day, right here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast.
I'm here to say congratulations. Congratulations to you chosen ones. And I am calling you the chosen ones because you have been chosen in many ways. First, by the temperament and discipline you've lived by the creative fires that are inside of you and the instinctive lunges of your desires. There is something about you, all of you, in your upbringing, and your background and your conscious memories and your ongoing mysteries, something that has driven you to complete your courses and achieve your selected challenges and cross the Rubicon of your time there, your studies at Wright State. You succeeded because of the aid and the love of others that are in your lives, without a doubt. But you succeeded mostly because you and you alone chose to do so. You are the chosen ones. You are the chosen ones because of a fate unimagined when you began your Wright State adventures. You started in the olden times in the world back before the great pandemic of 2020. You will talk of those earlier years in your lives just that way. Well, that was back before the COVID-19. That was before the great pandemic. Part of your lives will forever be identified as before. In the same way other generations tell time like, well, that was before the war, or that was before the internet, or that was before Beyonce. The word before is going to carry great weight with you. Today you mark your graduation, which has come during the restructuring of time and of science, of our own national will, and of a worldwide commonwealth. You have finished Wright State during, well, the great reset, the great reboot. You've gone from student to graduate. When more has been expected of you than to just be an American, you have had to be responsible Americans. You've had to be good Americans. Good Americans who made the sacrifices that have saved lives. Now, you'll reference these past weeks, as for however many weeks there are yet to come, as during the pandemic, during the COVID-19, during the lockdown, the quarantine, during the shelter in place. Sometime, if we all remain good Americans, you will continue on into the after, as in that was after the virus was tamed, after we were safe to go out again, after we took up our probable lives once more. But your after is not going to look the same as your during or as your before. You will have seen the movie and you will know how it ends. You will be enlightened in ways your degree from Wright State never held in promise. You will have made it through the time of great sacrifice and great need, and no one will be more fresh to the task of restarting our measure of normalcy than you chosen ones. You have not returned to the starting line like all of us generations before you. You're just approaching it now for the first time. You've just arrived. You are chosen in that way to enter into the competition of life just when so many have had to recover and refresh and restart and reawaken, and to retake up the hard work and the unshirkable responsibilities of making the world not only our own, but of your own. Every class of every year moves up into the rotation and proves their value by living their values. But this class, your class, isn't just doing work that has to be done. You're joining in the work that has to be done. You chosen ones are going to form the new structures and define the new realities and make the new world, the world after all that we have been through and after your time here in the final years, the final weeks at Wright State. Now, the future is always uncertain, but we who celebrate what you have done, who celebrate all of your achievements, we are certain of one thing on this day. You will not let us down. Thank you. Congratulations. Way to go.
You're listening to the Master Certified Coach on the Morning Gratitude Modern Spiritual Podcast.
The greatest mistake you can make is mixing things in your celery juice. It's critical you don't mix water, ice cubes, lemon, lime, other fruits and vegetables, collagen, apple cider vinegar, charcoal, protein powders, or anything in your celery juice. This is how it works. When you add those things in, you dilute the chemical compounds. So when you drink your celery juice, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
I was suffering with like really difficult digestive problems like constipation, lots of gas and bloating.
Celery juice is the newest thing out there. Medical medium said this is the stuff, cures everything.
I started noticing my body coming back to life right away.
When you drink 16 ounces of celery juice on an empty stomach, that's where the magic is. That's where the miracle powers are. It enters into your gastric glands. It rebuilds them so they can produce hydrochloric acid to break down proteins so proteins don't rot in your gut. And then it goes into your small intestinal tract, where it runs into food that you might have in there from the dinner before. Then it has to kill off pathogens, bacteria, viruses, yeast, mold, unproductive fungus. Then it travels down and has to eventually get into the liver through the hepatic portal vein. Once it's in your liver, it builds up your bile reserves, helping to improve your digestion by breaking down fats. Then after that, it heads to the gallbladder and starts to dissolve the gallstones. And that's why it has to be at least 16 ounces to have enough liquid to get through the entire obstacle course that you have in your body so you can heal and move forward.
One of the first things that I started doing that I read from his book was the 16 ounces of celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach. I remember just feeling like, oh yes, this is what I needed, and it instantly clicked for me.
The reason why you have to juice celery is because if you leave the pulp or the fiber in there, it won't work. When you leave the fiber and the pulp, you're trapping the medicine, slowing it down, stopping your digestion so you can't get the medicine to work. If you drink tea, you don't eat the tea bags. You have to extract the medicine out of it and consume it without the pulp and the fiber. It's the only way it's going to help you heal.
The Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. This morning is, I don't know what it is, but nothing's going correctly here. And every morning usually goes great. But this morning I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm going to have to end up going back to bed and waking up. We're going to get into the ET story about how the portal for the aliens are over the California Pacific Ocean. And this story goes back to many, many decades, and it still exists, but now the truth is coming out on this. We're going to learn this right now, and I'll be back right after this on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
Los Angeles, California is known for its iconic Hollywood, Disneyland, and one of America's most famous UFO hotspots. The activity there is seemingly a constant, and in the last 10 years alone looks to be escalating. From as far back as the 1800s to one of the most deadly UFO battles of all time, the Southern California metropolis has had many reported incidents, including strange lights in the sky and unexplained objects in the ocean. These sightings mystify investigators and researchers to this day. Are they truly coming from the heavens above, or is there something off the coast of California that we have yet to discover? What do they want? And more importantly, why are they here? In the November of 1896, 7 years before the Wright brothers achieved human flight, Los Angeles was a small mining community of around 50,000 people, when local newspapers started to report mysterious sightings in the skies of California. It was the beginning of a phenomenon that was to continue to this day. The objects were described as metallic, featureless objects nearly 125 feet long that hovered in the night sky. The sightings soon moved down to the Californian coastline to the budding metropolis of Los Angeles. This happened years before LAX was ever imagined, and taking into consideration human flight had not even taken place. Whatever was in the skies above their heads was absolutely unexplainable. On June 14th, 1992, police switchboards in Los Angeles were flooded with calls describing a very unusual sighting. Normally when someone sees a UFO, there's maybe one or two UFOs. What's really unique about this situation, in Topanga Canyon, there was a large number of UFOs that were seen. They were in the hundreds. Encountering multiple UFOs is a very rare occurrence, but what truly makes these sightings unique is how common they were seen throughout Los Angeles. There are regions on this planet that seem to be a magnet for UFO incidents. According to a scientific study known as the Project Doorway, researchers Barry Fitzgerald and Steve Mira have identified a number of key locations where UFOs seemingly manifest. These are referred to as positive magnetic regions. In a short period of time, hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of cases were reported. They are called UFO hotspots, and they can span the globe. Similar locations have been identified in China, Brussels, Belgium, and Washington, D.C. But one element makes LA unlike any other hotspot on the globe. A history of encounters occurring from Los Angeles to Long Beach to Catalina Island. Together, these locations have become known as the Devil's Triangle of the West. UFO sightings over Los Angeles have occurred pretty much since the inception of Los Angeles as a city itself. The evidence suggests that they started in the late 19th century and continued to modern times. Now that Los Angeles is a huge, sprawling megapolis, the reports of such sightings reach to tens of thousands. So many that not all reports are followed up. On February the 25th, 1942, only 3 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the city of Los Angeles was on high alert. They had just entered into the Second World War. Los Angeles was fearing another Pearl Harbor-type attack, but this time in Los Angeles itself. People were afraid they were going to be next. But on the night of February the 25th, their fears became a reality. Suddenly, in the dead of night, 100,000 people are awakened in a startling citywide blackout. Air raid sirens begin to blow, and citizens emerge from their homes to witness something in the skies over Los Angeles. The city appears to be under attack. Nobody knows what this unidentified object is, and the military steps in and does what it does best. It tries to bring it down. Anti-aircraft guns run into action against the unidentified aircraft in the Los Angeles area. Searchlights closely follow the object down the coast and gets its center in their glare. The military converged on the scene. They focus searchlights on it, and they actually try to shoot it down. The soldiers at Fort MacArthur fire more than 1,400 anti-aircraft shells in a barrage that should cripple even the strongest aircraft, but the object appears unscathed. No matter what the military throws at this object, they can't penetrate whatever is protecting it. They simply couldn't bring it down. This sighting has been referred to as the Battle of Los Angeles, and for good reason. There was shrapnel falling everywhere. Some were struck by them. There was a total blackout, and the people of LA began to panic. After 1,400 rounds had fired at this thing, presumably it was undamaged because it just simply flew away out of sight of the spotlights. What was it that invaded Los Angeles that night, and why was it seemingly indestructible? Was it a secret experimental Japanese warplane, or could it have been a craft from another world? Even today, people may tell you it never happened. It was just a bunch of people panicking. Wrong. If you go back to February 1942 and look at the headlines in the LA Times, it was described as a real incident. The day after the Battle of Los Angeles, President Franklin D. Roosevelt received a secret memorandum detailing the event. It wasn't until years later, actually, through the Freedom of Information Act, that investigators and researchers were able to get a copy of this memorandum, which basically proved that this event did in fact take place. Shortly after Roosevelt reviewed the report, a statement was released to the general public, one that tells a different story. The military can't identify what exactly this object was, but they had to explain it to the public. What did they do? They simply claim it was a balloon. When you look at how much firepower was thrown at that thing and nothing touched it, there isn't any type of balloon that exists even today. So you can't just simply dismiss this event with the military's explanation because it doesn't make sense. But for those who were there that night, the question remains, where did the craft come from and where did it go? In the decades that followed, demands for an explanation would be met with government silence. In 1947, President Truman signed the National Security Act, which essentially concealed events like this and potentially future UFO events from the public's eye. In 1964, at the height of the Cold War, the officer in charge, Robert Jacobs, heads to the photographic squadron at Vandenberg Air Force Base in Lompoc, California. According to Jacobs, his mission was to film an Atlas rocket test through all 3 stages of flying, off the coast of Big Sur, north of Los Angeles. The Atlas was an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, developed and deployed by the U.S. military. The missile he would film was outfitted with a dummy warhead. It was his job to actually track this rocket and film it in flight. Jacobs did his job just as he was ordered to do. However, it mysteriously failed. In his story, Lieutenant Jacobs states that he returned to Vandenberg with the films to be developed. Immediately following their processing, Jacobs was ordered to report to his senior officer. He was called into his superior's office, Major Mansman, and there were 2 plainclothes people there who wanted to question him about what had occurred. Jacobs was shown the film he took. He and the others watched the film of the rocket launching and then in flight prior to it mysteriously failing. According to Lieutenant Jacobs, at this stage, a saucer-shaped craft entered the frame. It's maneuvering around this rocket, which is traveling at many thousands of miles an hour, and all of a sudden it shoots a beam of light into the dummy warhead at the tip of the rocket, moves around, does another one, moves around, does another one, and then the dummy warhead falls off, causing the rocket to fail. The agents in the room take the footage away, and Jacobs is told by his ranking officer that he is never to speak of the incident. Could it be that Robert Jacobs witnessed an alien presence defending their territory off the coast of Southern California? Like the Battle of 1942, this encounter exposes an alien craft seeming to protect the border between California's land and sea. On November the 8th, 2010, an event occurred striking fear into the heart of Los Angeles again. An unidentified object came from the ocean and climbed in altitude, coming to rest over the city and the sky. When the military was asked about it, they had no idea what it was. They couldn't identify it. The Pentagon, which usually gives an explanation for a UFO event, had nothing to give. They made no remarks. However, there always seems to be a discrepancy between what the military tells you it knows and what the military really knows. Though the military said that they knew nothing, witnesses stated they definitely saw an object launch out of the Pacific Ocean. The fascinating thing is it might mean there's an underwater base in the Pacific Ocean or in Santa Monica Bay or in the Redondo Trench off Southern California. This has tremendous implications because when people say, how do UFOs get back and forth from outer space, the answer may be that they don't. They're right here on Earth. Is it possible that an extraterrestrial base is located under the water just outside Los Angeles? If so, why has it never been found? Could it be that the UFO portal is the evidence of an alien city just off the coast of California, a city that has only recently been discovered? Los Angeles has always been known as a paradise of beaches, but in the future, it may be known as the place we discovered aliens right beneath the waves.
Modern Spiritual Podcast. Man, this morning has not gone good at all. I just started thinking here. Just a couple days ago, Cool Joe and his crew came in, and they changed everything around here on the console. So that track is not, I don't know what they did or how they did it, but I should have checked all this stuff. I did check most of it, but I guess I took it for granted and I should have double checked it. But he's getting a phone call, and I'm going to let him know about what he's done. Screwed my show up. It didn't go into flow like I wanted it to. And nothing is today, so hopefully today will get better. We're going to go into sound healing meditation with award-winning sound healer Jonathan Goldman. And this is going to be the Rose of the Compassion. And he's got the crystal bowls of the chakra chants going on, as well as until tomorrow, wherever you be in the world. I bid you a good day and a good night. And like this podcast and if you want to leave some messages, go to the chat, leave some messages for us as well. But this is the first time out of 80 shows I've had a catastrophe like this with nothing wanting to work. But it's okay, because, you can't have them all, right? So, The other thing is too, as well, just make sure that you go to our Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and friend us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We got a lot of great things coming up. I'm currently working on with some tuning forks. I got 9 different tuning forks that I'm starting to compose my own meditations with the tuning forks, talking bowls, the crystal bows as well, and many different other things. So the meditations are going to get even better. So right now, I'm going to leave you with the Rose of Compassion. Hopefully we'll get better. I need some meditation going on now. I'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon Mountain Arizona time, which was like 3 p.m. Eastern time, as well as I'm going to have the power half hour, and that's going to be meditations, and I'm going to play some music because it's July 4th weekend. We're in a lockdown, and it's hard for a lot of us to do the natural thing we do on July 4th, because we have restrictions and we got to do social distancing and we got to take precautions, and we just can't go anywhere that we like to do like we used to do. So we're kind of doing things a little different this year for July 4th. So tomorrow afternoon, I'll play some music. And then tomorrow evening, about 6 p.m. Mountain Arizona time on Saturday, July 4th, I'm just going to wheel it up with an hour of all music, indie music. It's not well-known music, but artists that are unsigned, unknown. And if you're an artist unsigned, unknown, want your stuff played right here, all you got to do is write me an email at chip@modernspiritualpodcast.com, or if you want a program or anything like that, just write me and I'll respond back to you as well. So let's get out of here and do this meditation because I'm really, really in need of it. And hopefully my weekend will be much better. I'll talk to you tomorrow on the next episode right here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.